This is exercise 5.4, question 11. We are told in this question that there are 15 building applications approved in the first year, and this forms a geometric sequence and it has a common ratio of 1.5. So with this, we are asked how many building applications were approved by the council in the third year after land sales began. Let's write down the important information which is given to us. So we know that your first term, that's the building applications of the first year, is 15, and we also know that the common ratio here is 1.5. Therefore, if they are asking us for the building applications in the third year, that's going to be T3. But let's write down the general rule first. For a geometric sequence, that's going to be AR to the power of n minus 1. So that's going to be 15. And we're going to multiply that with R, which we know as 1.5 to the power of n minus 1. Since we want building applications in the third year, that's going to be the third term. And we are going to substitute n with 3 minus 1. Now, if you do this properly, you should be able to get 33.75. But you can see here that 0.75 is not a complete building. That's incomplete. Therefore, we don't consider that incomplete building, and we just approximate this to 33 completed buildings. And you can write down that there are 33 buildings which have been approved. So that's solving part A. Part B. In which year after land sales began did the number of building applications approved by the council each year first exceed 100? Okay, so they want us to find when it exceeds 100, so we can start with B. Let's write it down as a mathematical expression. Tn must be bigger than 100. So we want to find out which term exceeds 100. Let's write down the general expression for this first. We have just found that out. It's over here. So this is going to be 15 times 1.5 to the power of n minus 1. And this needs to be bigger than 100. Now, you can look at this equation and we can solve this using CAS. We can just take this part, and what we'll write down in the calculator is solve, and we will write this expression is equals to 100. So I'll just write it down right here, what you need to put into the calculator. We just use CAS, and we will type in solve. This will be in your calculator function, and in your brackets you put 15, 1.5, and minus 1 is equal to 100, and you would solve for n. You press equals here, and it will solve it for you, and it will give you n is equals to 5.68, which basically tells you that n actually needs to be bigger or more than 5.68 months, right, in order for you to be able to approve. Is it months or years? No, it's years. Okay, so it's more than 5.68 years. So if we round this up, basically we would know that we can write down the number of building applications approved exceeds 100 in the 6th year. Okay, so that's n is bigger than 5.68. Okay, let's do part C now. How many building applications were approved in total by the council in the first 5 years after land sales began? We want to find in total for the first 5 years. So that's basically using the sum equation of a geometric sequence. So this is part C. Let's write down what the sum equation is first. So for geometric sequence, Sn is going to be equal to A times R to the power of n minus 1 over R minus 1. Now, we're using this because in this case, our R is bigger than 1. That's why we're using this equation as compared to the other one where R is smaller than 1. Okay, so in this case, let's fill this up. A is 15, r is 1.5 to the power of n minus 1 over 1.5 minus 1. Let's simplify this. We're going to get 30 1.5 times n, to the power of n minus 1. So this is our general expression here. We want to solve for the total of the first 5 years. So that's S5. So we're going to replace n with 5, and that's going to give us 30. Oh, sorry, that's a 30 here. To solve that, it's actually 30 here, times 1.5 to the power of 5 minus 1. And this is going to give us 197.8. Now remember again, that 0.8, that's an incomplete building, so we're not going to include that. So this approximates to 197. So we can write down a statement here saying, stating this. So in total, 197 buildings approved in 5 years. Okay. Let's look at part D. In which year, after land sales began, did the total number of buildings approved by the council first exceed 1,000? They want us to find the total number exceeds 1,000. So we're going to look back at our SN equation here. This is our summation or series equation, and we're going to use this. So this is part D. In mathematical form, they're asking us, when does Sn first exceed 1,000? So this is the same thing of what we have done previously in part B, except in part B we're using Tn. So over here we're using Sn. So let's write down what we found out just now. Our Sn equation is this. So we're going to write down 30 times 1.5 to the power of n minus 1. Okay, let's bracket this whole thing up. Okay, and this is bigger than 1,000. So again, we're going to use CAS and solve for this. Use CAS. So we're going to write down solve in your calculated function. Solve 30, and then we have this bracket 1.5 to the power of n minus 1, and this would equal to 1,000, and we want to solve for n. So solving for n would give you n is equal to 8.72. Now remember, the question is asking for which year will it exceed this 1,000. So n must be bigger than 8.72, which means it must exceed this number of years. And the next year, which will follow this, would be the 9th year. So we can write down in a sentence that the total number of buildings approved first exceeds 1,000 in 9 years. So that's going to be how long you have to wait in order to get 1,000 buildings approved in total from T1 plus T2 plus T3 and so on and so forth until 9 years. And that's how we do question 11.